Hello Sumiti, welcome to another beautiful video tutorial. So this is a continuation of this video, this tube dress with side ruffles and off shoulder flare sleeve. So if you want to know how I made it, if you've not seen the part 1 of the video, I'll drop the link in the description box because this is a continuation, which means it is part 2. So where we stopped at the other one was where we joined the front and back together, then going ahead to cut the side ruffles. So how I got the ruffles was that I folded my fabric. First of all, folded it into 2 equal parts, and after that I went ahead to fold it again into 4. This is me folding it into 2 equal parts. So after that I went ahead to fold it again, which means it has been folded into 4, and I went ahead to fold it again, which means the folding was 8. Why did I make it into 8 fold? Because I want to cut the both sides of the ruffles at the same time. Do you get? So I went to determine the length of the ruffle. Now I'm just going to mark it straight because I don't have enough fabric. Sure, so I just use the volume of fabric I have to do the marking. But if you have a lot of fabric, you can decide to mark like 15 inches from the edge. Depends on how big you want the ruffle. Okay, so it just depends on how big you want it. So I realized that this other side, this second side, is smaller than the first side, so I continued marking another line because I'm working with the volume of fabric I have. So I went ahead to mark it round. After marking it round, I went ahead to determine the width of the ruffles from the other line I've marked earlier. So I just mark it there and then determine. I now measure it from the edge of the fabric to just get it rounded. So I went ahead, I used about 5 inches from the edge of the fabric because it has to be wide enough. If not, the wider the upper part is, the longer volume you have for your work. Okay, so I'll just go ahead to cut it out. Then after cutting it out, I will go ahead and slit it open. Don't forget that we're cutting the both sides of the ruffles together, and this is what we have. You can see that it is not so wide because my fabric is not so big also. So this is what we have. I'll go ahead and slit it open. So I went ahead to determine how long it is to see if it will be enough for me, but it was longer than the measurement I had because from my waist to the full length of that dress is 40 inches. From my waist to the ankle measurement is 40 inches. So it was more than double. So I went ahead to slit. I'll go ahead and fold the edge, then I will hem it also. I'll do that off camera so we can go to the next stage together. So this is it. I've gone ahead to fold the edge and I've gone ahead to hem it all round also. Can you see how neatly done it is? So when you're doing this, if you're using net like me, make sure you determine the wrong side of the net from the right side of the net. So now this is how it is going to be placed. Now another thing you should take note of that I observed from the picture on the thumbnail is that they did not attach the ruffle straight from the waist to the nail length to the end of the fabric. So I came up by 10 inches because I realized they didn't attach it straight to the end. And again, if you should attach it to the end of the fabric, you should be rest assured that the ruffles will be rubbing on the floor and it's not going to be beautiful like that. So I came up by about 10 inches. Okay, so now it means that the ruffle will start from the waistline and it will end at the point of the 10 inches I marked. If you don't want yours so high, you can use like 8 inches, but it depends on how wide the fabric you are using is. If your fabric that you are using for the ruffle is so big and wide, even 10 inches is small because it's still going to rub on the ground at the end of the day. So you just do your calculation before you mark that point. Okay, but you make sure that the ruffle is not starting from the waist and ending on where the ankara or the lace you're using is ending. It's not going to be fine. So I went ahead to draw gathers because the net length is more than the length where from the waist to where the 10 inches is ending. Now I don't want it to be exact the same measurement, because at the end of the day, I want the ruffles to come out well and beautifully done. And I used this volume of fabric because I do not have more. If I had more of it, I would have used more of the net, because the more gathers you make for this ruffles, the more beautiful it will turn out to be. That's just the trick. So I went ahead to first of all pin it to the waistline. You know, we're starting from the waistline to the 10 inches. So one thing you should do is that you should make sure that the right side of the net is facing the right side of the front part of your dress. Okay, so you can see how I'm arranging it. The right side of the net is facing the right side of the front part of the dress I'm working on. Okay, so I'm placing the right side on top of the right side of the front part of this dress. So I went ahead to arrange the gathers on it, making sure that it is well arranged from the waistline to the 10 inches we marked on the lower part. You can see how I'm arranging it. So I'm just arranging the gathers to make sure that it is evenly arranged. Then I will go ahead and join it together. Now I will be using the seam allowance. If you have 1.5 inch as your seam allowance, it means you're joining it with 1.5. If you have 1 inch, it means you're joining it with 1 inch. So we'll be repeating the same thing for the other side of the dress, and I will go to the sewing machine and join it together and come back. So this is what we have. I've gone ahead to join it, and the ruffles are already attached to the sides. And flipping it to the right side, this is what it looks like. So the next thing we'll be doing now, you can see how nice it is, right? So the next thing we'll be doing now by the time you flip it this way, by the time you wear it and you're standing, you know this thing, the ruffle is going to be dropping. Now that's the reason why we came up by 10 inch. By the time the ruffle drop down, can you see? This is where it's going to get to. Can you see? So that's that about that. So we'll go ahead to cut the sleeve. I have my fabric already folded into two. I will go ahead and fold it into four, like you're cutting a 360-degree flare. Okay, now I have some chalks on the fabric before, because this fabric I've used it to make a particular dress for a very long time and I've had it. So I will just fold my fabric into four. You know how you fold when you're making your 360-degree flare? That's how I will fold it. So I'm just spreading it to make sure that it is enough to give me the right volume of measurements needed for the sleeve. So I'm just going to mark about 14 inches from the edge of the fabric, and I'll go ahead and mark it round like so. So now we don't have a particular measurement we are using for the sleeve. It all depends on how wide you want your sleeve to be. So from the edge, I'm going to mark about 4 inches that will serve as the opening, like the upper part. Okay, so you can see what we have. I will mark it round and I will go ahead to cut. If you want yours wider than that, it means you are increasing it. You are increasing your measurements. So at the end of the day, after cutting it, now this one is going to serve as one of the sleeve. Can you see what we have like this? I'll go ahead and use this one now to cut another one, because we want two of this. This one cannot serve as for the both sleeve because I want it a little bit bulky, like you can see from the beginning of the video. Okay, so now I'm going to use this one to cut the second sleeve, because we want sleeve for the both side. If you don't want yours to be much, you don't want the gathers to be much, you can split this one into two and you use it for the both side of the sleeve. Okay, but I want mine to be more. Okay, so I'll go ahead and use this one to cut another one. It will be easier to just use it to cut another one instead of just going ahead to remark. Okay, so after cutting it like this, now we're still going to slit a part of it open for us to work with. Now by the time you slit it open, that's when you see the real fullness of what we've just done. So you can see me cutting it out like so. So after cutting it, this is what we have. I will slit a part of it open so that we can see how big it is at the end of the day. So after slitting it open, this is what we have. You can see how nice it is. You can see the flare effect. I'm just folding it to see exactly what it will look like by the time I draw my gathers. So this is it at the end of the day. Another thing you need to do now for you to be able to continue, we will go ahead and hem the lower part of the sleeve that we have with us already. At this point, I felt like it was too wide, okay, because from the picture I'm working with, it is not so big, the sleeve is not so wide, so I went ahead to remove about 2 inches from it, which means that it has reduced the volume of the sleeve to about 12 inches because we use 14 inches earlier. We remove 4 inches, which means it went to 10. So me removing another 2 inches, it means that it has gone to about 8 inches for the width in total. So the next thing I would do now is to go ahead and hem it all round. I've gone ahead to hem it all round and I'll fold the edges. Okay, so now I have a long strap like cut in a bias form that we use to pipe the upper parts because we'll be passing elastic through it, and I really do not know how to fold the upper part into two without using a bias to pipe it. Now the bias fabric I'm using is 1.5 of an inch. That's the weight. Okay, so after sewing the first, after attaching it to it, this is how I'll go ahead to fold it again. Can you see what we have? You just fold it into two, then go ahead and sew it all round like so, because that's the part you'll be passing your elastic through, and my elastic is about 0.5 of an inch, so that's why I use 1.5, because by the time I fold it how many times, I will still have 0.5 of an inch for my elastic to pass through. So after that, I went ahead to mark 4 inches inwards, then 4 inches downwards to connect a straight line that we used to attach it to the armhole area. Okay, so I went ahead to just connect, like make a slant line so that it will be easy for me to attach it to the armhole area. Okay, that's after I have already piped the upper part and I've hemmed the lower part of the sleeve. So after cutting it that way, I will go ahead and add my elastic to it. So it depends on how loose you want the sleeve to be, but the elastic I use there is about 9 inches because I want it to be a bit firm on me. The length of the elastic is 9 inches. Okay, and you know, by the time you put it and you drag it, it's going to stretch more than that. So I'm just trying to see that the slant I made earlier for attaching the sleeve to the main dress, it is equal, and I realized that one of the sleeve is bigger than the other, so I had to slit it to make sure that they are equal. So after cutting it to make sure that they are equal, I went ahead to attach the elastic to it. Now I have this loop turner which actually really make my work easy. So I just went ahead to put the elastic at the edge and just turn it to the other side, and my elastic came out. So you are going to pin the edge before you continue dragging it so that the elastic doesn't pull away. So this is how I attach my elastic. So what I will do next, I will go straight to the sewing machine and just press the both edge of the elastic down so that it is firm enough. I'll go ahead and press it down. So I will go ahead and press both edges and we can go ahead and attach the sleeve. So this is me fixing the sleeve to it. You know, the curve part that we made, the slant part that we made, it has to start from where the sleeve, the strap is attached to. So from that point now, you pin it straight to the armhole part. You can see what I'm doing. So you see the slant we made earlier. Now you see where the elastic is ending. It will start from where the strap is, or you just go lower with about 1 inch or 2 inches. It depends on how low you want the sleeve also. If you want it so high, you can make it start from exactly the strap. Then you pin it down straight to the armhole area. Go ahead to the machine and run a straight stitch. Then after that, I've gone ahead to run a straight stitch on this part. So we'll be going ahead to attach the other side of the sleeve the same way we did on this one. So what you do, you just flip it. You flip it this way because we've attached one side. You flip it, make sure that the elastic band side is also starting from about 1 inch from the strap area. Can you see where the elastic started from on the sleeve is where you're starting from, but 1 inch from the strap area. Okay, so you place it the same way we did to the other side. Pin it down and run a straight stitch to that part. Then you close the other side together. Just bring the extra and run it straight down, and you are done attaching your sleeve. So this is what we have. The dress is ready. Everything about the dress is done. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, comment and share. I want to say a very big thank you to my returning subscriber. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe so that you can see more of my details and explanatory video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate. Bye, and see you in my next video.